Celtics assistant head coach Charles Lee just got hired as the Charlotte Hornets head coach, and we're going to be breaking down how impactful this is for the Boston Celtics as they have lost some key assistant head coaches in years past. And will this ultimately hinder this squad going deeper into the playoffs, or will this motivate them? All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, but before we dive in on all of this Boston Celtics news, 64% of our viewers are not subscribed, so we'd greatly appreciate it if you guys hit the subscribe button down below as we try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the playoffs, and let you guys know that we're doing another live watch-along tonight, breaking down the Cleveland Cavaliers and Boston Celtics Game 2. So if you're interested in that, make sure to come join us. But without further ado, let's get into the topic at hand. Make sure to grab a snack as it's going to be a jam-packed episode. And the first topic that we're going to be diving in today is Charles Lee is leaving. And like I mentioned in the introduction, Charles Lee has been hired as the new Charlotte Hornets head coach. Now, we want to look at this, tweet from Shams Charania. We can see that the Hornets have announced that the franchise has hired Boston Celtics assistant Charles Lee as their new head coach. Lee has spent the last 11 years as a highly respected assistant in Atlanta, then in Milwaukee, and now in Boston. Now, he obviously was working with Milwaukee for 5 seasons previous towards this one, and came alongside with Jrue Holiday over to this Boston Celtics team over from Milwaukee, which was huge to see the connection from Charles Lee and Jrue Holiday continue on in Boston. But he was hired alongside Sam Cassell to bolster this assistant coaching staff for Joe Mazzulla, and it has been solid. Obviously, the Boston Celtics had the best record in the NBA at 64 wins, and were absolutely fantastic across top to bottom, offensively, defensively, working cohesively as a unit. They came out and showed, and that was due to the fact of having Charles Lee and Sam Cassell on this staff. Joe Mazzulla really got to implement his game plan, his fundamentals, his style of play, and Charles Lee and Sam Cassell bought into it, showed the players how to play through that way, and it ultimately led for this success for the Boston Celtics. But as we mentioned, Charles Lee is going to be leaving, but there is some good news with all of that. Even though the Celtics are going to congratulate Charles Lee on the next move and they're excited for him and his family, Mark D'Amico says tough to lose him, but he's more than earned this. Thankfully, he'll stick around for this run. Congrats, Charles. So some big news is that Charles will still remain with the Boston Celtics on this postseason run. He will not resume activities of being the Hornets head coach until his season is over, which is fantastic for this squad. They're not going to lose one of their top assistants. They're not going to have one of their guys mentally check out through the playoffs, and he's still going to be locked in coaching this team and getting them ready to go for Game 2 tonight, but then for the rest of this series and for more series to come if the Boston Celtics are to advance. Now, obviously, we want to wish the best for Charles Lee like the Boston Celtics did, but Charles Lee going to the Hornets is not something that scares me, as the Boston Celtics have lost a plethora of assistants in past years. Obviously, the Boston Celtics going into, a couple of years ago, they hired Ime Udoka. They had him as their new head coach. They switched up from Brad Stevens, and he led the Celtics to a finals run. Now, during that, obviously, he had some great assistant head coaches as well, with Damon Stoudemire and a guy in Will Hardy. And Will Hardy was then accepted as the Utah Jazz head coach last season. So he went over there last season, went to go be that head coach. And Damian Stoudemire accepted a job as the Georgia Tech college basketball head coach and had to go there and do transfer portals and make sure he could get locked in with his squad. So he had to leave in the middle of the season, which ultimately led for when Ime Udoka getting fired for Joe Mazzulla to be thrown into that, head coaching job, just thrust in there with no really preparation. So the Celtics have seen a plethora of assistant coaches leave, from Will Hardy to Damian Stoudemire to, a guy in Charles Lee who's now leaving for the Charlotte Hornets. So the Celtics have seen their talent go out, which is good for them to show that, their assistant head coaches do their job. They buy in with their players. They know really what they're doing. But it also goes to show you that if the Celtics do lose a assistant coach, that they'll be able to fill in that role and bring in a star-studded, talented guy, regardless of his qualifications. Like I mentioned, from Will Hardy to Joe Mazzulla to Damon Stoudemire to Charles Lee and Sam Cassell to now next season, possibly now going to have to bring in another assistant coach. I believe that the Celtics will be okay. If we want to look at this article from NBC Sports Boston obviously kind of dives into it a little bit more, saying Lee, who joined the Celtics last June after 5 seasons with the Bucks, is Boston's lead assistant under head coach Joe Mazzulla. Lee will remain with the Celtics for the rest of the playoff run before joining the Hornets full-time, per Adrian Wojnarowski. The 39-year-old has risen quickly through the NBA coaching ranks after winning an NBA championship on Mike Budenholzer's Bucks staff in 2021. Lee and Sam Cassell were new additions to the Celtics coaching staff last summer and helped Boston in its 4th best regular season in franchise history at 64-18. The Los Angeles Lakers also had interest in Charles Lee for their head coach opening after parting ways with Darvin Ham. Instead, Lee will head to Charlotte to replace Steve Clifford, who stepped down after the Hornets' 21-51 season. He'll have his work cut out for him, as Charlotte hasn't made the playoffs since 2016 and has had just one winning season in that span. But fortunately for the Celtics, Lee's work with the Hornets will have to wait until after the playoff run, as the C's own a 1-0 lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals matchup with the Cleveland Cavaliers entering Game 2 at TD Garden. Like we mentioned, he has been on championship squads with Mike Budenholzer in 2019. He was with Budenholzer over in Atlanta as well. And this front office knows Charles Lee a lot, as they were, front office members in Atlanta and in Milwaukee. That's why they went after and hired a guy in Charles Lee. They already felt the comfortability with him. They already felt like he could change this culture, change this team around. And I'm believing in that with Charles Lee. One guy who definitely has been deserving of a head coaching job for a long time is finally going to get his opportunity. And I couldn't be more happy and proud for our guy in Charles Lee, as he's going to get to show us how he can really change this culture over in Charlotte. Like we mentioned, Charlotte is a young team with LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, possibly bringing back Miles Bridges, a whole bunch of young talent, a high draft pick. If he can really get that culture in set, get them in tone, and really get them to buy into this basketball mindset, as he has done with the Boston Celtics, with the Bucks, I truly think that this Hornets team is going to want to win, want to play under a great guy in Charles Lee. And I think he could be a kind of guy like Jamal Mosley, who we've seen, who's embraced that culture, brought out that attitude of the Orlando Magic. I think we could see something very similar with Charles Lee with the Charlotte Hornets as well. In the article, it also mentioned that the Lakers were interested in Charles Lee as well. And I'm glad that he's going to the Hornets over the Lakers. Doesn't have to deal with LeBron James, doesn't have to deal with superstars. He gets to deal with a small market team, gets to build with that small market team. And he is signed for a 4-year deal, so he'll be able to grow with this squad, build with them, and be able to ensure his longevity as a head coach, compared to going to the Lakers and possibly being fired after a season or two. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you happy for Charles Lee? Are you disappointed that he's going to be leaving? Let us know how you truly feel down below. Honestly, I know that the Celtics have gone through a lot of assistants and it's been chaotic, but I am happy for Charles Lee, and I truly do believe that the Boston Celtics will be able to find an assistant that will be able to do the job well, and I want to wish nothing but the best for Charles in his endeavors in Charlotte next season. But as we finish off the video, as you guys know, we got to get to the comment of the day. So drop down your comments down below, drop your thoughts, your feelings, and you can be selected, be the lucky participant for comment of the day. Yesterday we had 2 videos go up. One on Luke Kornet really balling out with Derrick White for the Celtics team in Game 1, and one talking about Stephen A. calling out Jayson Tatum. And the comment that I chose, there were a plethora of great comments from both videos, but we chose a comment from the video of the first one talking about Luke Kornet from Zach King 4983, saying that he met Luke Kornet last season in Brooklyn inside a Catholic church. He got a picture with him. Some super nice dude. So happy he's balling out this season and postseason. And Zach, I couldn't agree more. Luke is one of the best players on the court. We talked with Brandon Slater through the live watch along. If you guys missed that, you guys could check that out. But last live watch on, we talked to him, and he was mentioning how Luke is just a great vibes guy on and off the court. Really brings the life together for this team and gets them hyped up. And you can see that truly. And like I said, meeting him in person must be absolutely fantastic. I could see that he would be as nice as he was and with the media and how he is just in general with you as well. So that's clearly great that translated. And for Luke, we're going to give him the little bird out on the way, because he's been absolutely fire for us in the postseason. Locked up Bam Adebayo, letting him shoot around 38% from the field when he was guarding him. A huge defensive menace in Game 5. And again, in Game 1 last time with no Kristaps Porzingis versus Cleveland. 4 points. Should have had more points because 2 of his lobs were uncounted, and had 10 rebounds with 6 offensive, helping the Celtics in their second chance points, which was a big issue during the regular season. Absolutely huge stuff that you love to see, and he's working on things that the Celtics need to work on as a team, and if he can master that role, woo! We are in for a fun playoff run. But like I mentioned, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section as we broke down Charles Lee going to be the Charlotte Hornets head coach. Now, obviously, he's going to be with the Celtics throughout this playoff run, so he'll be A-okay, but next season, he will be gone. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button as we try to get to 4,000 subscribers. Check out the videos linked up at the top here, and come out and join the live stream tonight. We'll be live once again breaking down the Cavs and Celtics Game 2 here at TD Garden on Celtics Digest. We hope to catch you all there. I'm Bruce Veliz. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Celtics Digest, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everybody.